The Denver Broncos picked up a massive 31-13 victory over the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday afternoon. This was a must-win game for the Broncos. They did not want to give the Colts the tiebreaker, especially considering the fact that they've got the Chargers on a short week Thursday, and then they've got the Bengals, top five offense in football, MVP candidate, and Joe Burrow. He's not going to be in the consideration because of the record, but still, you don't want to go up against Chase, Higgins, and those weapons in a must-win game to try to make the playoffs. By beating the Colts, it guarantees a winning season, and all the Broncos have to do now is just win. Actually, they're a lock to make the playoffs now because the Colts, even if they get to 9 wins, they Broncos have the tiebreaker. The Dolphins lost today. The Bengals could get the 9 wins and beat the Broncos, and then that gets interesting. But still, like by winning this game, the Broncos they've got a 90, I want to say 91% chance to make the playoffs. They're absolutely chilling, especially considering the fact that the Chargers lost today. They got blown out by the Bucks. But Denver, you look at the best teams in football, they always are at their best in the second half. They find ways to win games as well when one part of their team isn't at its best. Like the offense for the Broncos, it was not the best in this one, but the defense did what it's done all season and just dominated. I mean, this was as dominant of a defensive performance as you'll see at the NFL level. We're talking about the Colts. I believe they had it was either 4 or 5 turnovers. We'll count right now. But Anthony Richardson had 2 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor lost a fumble. Michael Pittman Jr. lost a fumble. And then Adonai Mitchell threw a pick six. So what's the math in that? Two, three, four, five. So that's 5 turnovers in this game for the Colts. I mean, this was a must-win for Indy. Their season's all but over now. They've got now I think 7% chance. The Texans would have to lose their next. Yeah, the Texans would have to lose their next 3 games for the Colts to be able to make the playoffs. So that's certainly not going to happen. I mean, it could. They've got the Chiefs. They've got the Ravens and the Titans in Week 18. I mean, they did lose to them, but still, you guys get what I'm saying. I mean, this was really a must-win game for both sides. But for Denver, their defense, I said it coming into this week, is that it's the best in football. And Bo Nix, he did play maybe his worst game of the year with those 3 interceptions. But he did score 3 touchdowns. He did add 23 yards with his legs. And of course, when the game was on the line in the second half, Nick's he made the plays that Richardson didn't. He was just better. I mean, the defense for the Colts was damn near perfect in this game. Same thing with the Denver outside of the first drive where the Colts just marched down. But after that, I mean, the Colts, they only scored 6 points. They kicked 2 field goals. The field goal was the second drive for the Colts, and they kicked one in the second quarter. So we're talking about outside of the first drive, the Colts only scoring 2 field goals the rest of the way. That's highly impressive, too. And where it starts is the front of Denver. I mean, their front is just absolutely elite. They were rushing four. They were getting pressure. They weren't blitzing as much as I thought they would, but they didn't have to. They were getting pressure just sending four, which is exactly why they were in control of this game. They were just dropping 7 guys back into coverage, and Richardson had no windows. And even the completions he made, the 17, I mean, I would say 15 of them probably were into just tight windows where only him, Josh Allen, Herbert are able to get the ball into there. You have to throw it on a rope. The one bad thing for Denver in this game is Patrick Surtain tweaked his ankle and did limp off the field. He tried to come back in. He made an interception, and then Josh Downs tackled him. That's how he hurt his ankle. And then he tried to come back in and had to leave, and he was limping off the field. Just a bad sight to see. We're talking about potentially the defensive player of the year, the best player on a defense that, again, is the best in football. Nick Benito had a pick six. He's got double-digit sacks. Cooper, I'm talking about Zach Allen. Like, there's a lot of guys on Denver's defense that deserves recognition, but Patrick Surtain is the best defensive player in my opinion this season, and he made a huge pick. He was just in zone coverage. He just completely just was able to jump up and snag it off of Richardson. I know a lot of people are going to talk about Jonathan Taylor and how he ended up dropping the ball at the 1 yard line, and the Broncos would end up getting the touchback and getting the ball. Although that deserves to be talked about, I mean, and that did swing the momentum. If the Colts had got that, they would have been up, 10 points? It's just, that's kind of fitting, right? A team like the Colts, the reason why they are where they're at is because of just boneheaded decisions like that. They've dealt with a lot of really, I think adversity is the right way to phrase it, but they've just dealt with a lot of blunders this season. And the Broncos, they've just been consistent. They've been poised. You go back to the start of the season, They're on the road against Seattle, and then they're at home against Pittsburgh. Remember, the Steelers got off to that lightning hot start, and they were right in that game. Seattle is one of the best teams in the NFC, and then they beat Tampa Bay. They beat the Jets, the Raiders, three straight. They do lose to the Chargers, which was a wild game, and they swing together two wins against some pretty poor teams. But then the Ravens game happens, they get blown out, and then the Chiefs game, they let that get away from them. But here we are, four straight wins, now with a chance to continue to build on what they've already accomplished. 9 wins is great, being 9-5, but the job isn't finished. You got to be able to beat the Chargers. It is in their building, but still short week. The Chargers are coming off a blowout loss. You want to get to that, get to 10 wins. I mean, the Broncos, they have a chance here to continue to get up the playoff seeding. They're going to go to the 6th seed right now. The Ravens won, and they have the tiebreaker, so they're the 5th seed. The Texans pretty much, I'm not going to say they're locked into the 4th seed. They could get higher, but you'd have to imagine it will be the Texans as the 4th seed. I think the Ravens will. I don't know the Ravens' schedule, but for the Broncos and the Chargers, that's a big game because the Chargers have the tiebreaker right now. But if the Broncos win that, that erases it, and also it just gives you even more room. So they're 8-6. The Broncos are 9-5. You win that, you go to 10-5, and they go to 8-7. It just gives you a lot of comfort there. And there's a huge difference between being the 7th and the 6th seed because if you're the 7th seed, you're more than likely playing the Bills in Orchard Park. When we know the weather and the way Josh Allen's playing, the Rams did just beat him, so I can't say I don't know who can beat him. But that's just not, you don't want to go to Buffalo with a rookie quarterback and Bo Nix, especially just the way that offense is playing. I know Denver's got a good defense, but you want to avoid that at all costs. But the 6th seed, the Steelers, so the gap between the Bills and the Steelers is just massive. So now that the Broncos are in that 6th seed, they would play the Steelers. It would be in Pittsburgh, but still, that's huge. And you get up to the 5th seed, well, now you're going to Houston, and it gets even more. What's a word to say? It gets even more. I don't know a word, but it becomes a lot more comfortable because the Texans, they've been kind of just getting by in some of these wins. If I'm being honest, I think the Broncos are just a flat out better football team than them. And then for the Steelers, I think they're a good team, but I don't know if they're even better than the Broncos. I think legitimately, I think the only two teams, even the Chiefs though, like, I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, but still, the Broncos with their front, they're a great matchup to go up against the Chiefs. They're a great matchup to go up against anyone in the NFL, but specifically the Chiefs. They just could not handle the Broncos rush, and they won the game because of a block kick. But I mean, we're looking at the Ravens as a tough matchup for the Broncos, but I think legitimately just the Bills are the one team to avoid. I think the Broncos, even the Ravens who blew them out, Bo Nix is a lot more comfortable. The defense is playing lights out, and the fact that you're able to get a win against a desperate team with the offense not really doing too much just goes to show that this team has a lot of potential too. Because the offense had been playing well up until this point. It wasn't like the offense has been bad. I mean, no, it's been actually very, very good. Like you look at the game against the Browns, they did score 2 defensive touchdowns, but the offense, they got a lot of big plays. The Raiders game, they put up 29 or 38 on the Falcons. So yeah, they're chilling right now, Denver, man. They're going to do big things this season. They've got a team that is just on the rise, and it's only the start, too. Bo Nix is a rookie. Sean Payton's in his 2nd season as the head coach, so you can only imagine what this team's going to accomplish the next decade. It's going to be a lot of fun, but yeah, appreciate you guys. Smash the like button, subscribe. I'm out. Later.